Welcome to On the Fence, the show that's about helping you decide whether or not to spend your hard-earned money on the biggest and possibly best releases. And Nick,
don't spend your money on me.
You subscribe to Nick's OnlyFans.
No.
Nick, we are looking at Biomutant.
Yes.
What the fuck is Biomutant, Nick?
So many things, Hans.
Well, to be fair, this is the second time we have looked at Biomutant.
This is the second time.
In case you missed it, there will be a link in the top right-hand corner where you can watch the highlights from our first impressions live stream that we did on Twitch. Go follow us on Twitch. Do it.
Or don't.
Or else. But Nick, what is Biomutant?
Biomutant is a new open world RPG game from, I believe the studio's called Experiment 101.
Yeah, something like that.
I think they are based somewhere in Scandinavia. And they're like a team of about 20 people, I think. Which makes this very impressive, to be honest. What the fuck is this? Let's go. And yeah, it's like a new open world game, which I think is kind of cool. It's not often you see such a small team take on something that feels so
expansive.
Yeah. And yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll get another. Where's there's bad guys?
Yeah, down there in the bushes.
Is there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so as you can see here, it's a kind of overall the combat's kind of a third-person hack and slash.
Yeah.
There are combos. You have guns, which you can pew. Nick, have you gotten used to the fact there is no lock-on per se?
Not in the slightest.
Does it still bother you?
Yes, it really does. It's like the one thing I think would completely change my perception of this game.
Yeah. Because I think as well, especially whenever you're doing your gunplay, your gun fu, I feel like you kind of do miss it as well, because it kind of it's just a soft aim, a soft auto aim. If you're kind of in the vicinity, it'll get it, but you do kind of miss that. No, just I'm locked onto this guy. Let me just pew at him. Nick, you missed out your chance to do the drunken ant combo.
That was the drunken ant.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Why is our Aunt Joe in this game?
Fair.
So, overall, how have you found the combat in this then so far? I know, obviously, the big gripe for you has been the auto lock thing.
The big gripe for me is I think the auto lock doesn't feel great to use, and I feel like you could literally solve a lot of the problems I have with the combat with having a dedicated lock on, because I feel like there's so many times you go to hit someone, or you do that drunken ant combo that I was doing, and it just feels like you're in the middle of doing it and everyone's moving and your character is still kind of not actually locked onto anything, because the person has moved out of your the general lock-on area that your character kind of sticks to.
And it's kind of a weird thing, because other games have done, even in a similar combat vein, have done it quite well. The Batman Arkham series springs to mind. It didn't necessarily have a lock-on feature, but it
had a very generous auto target or magnetic pull towards enemies.
And I definitely feel
it's this has a bit of that, but it just doesn't feel very.
It doesn't feel as tight.
Yeah, it needs to be way wider in it, because you just miss so much just for no obvious reason other than they've moved, but you're locked in. You're locked into a combo that you can't get out of, whereas they can just freely move around pretty easily.
Yeah. So why are you producing fire from your butt? What was that?
The mutagens? Is that what it's called?
Psypower.
Yes.
The green stuff is the bio something, and then we have played this game, we swear. But that was the Psypower, yeah. So as Nick fights here, so the Psypowers are, well, funnily enough, what they sound like, psychic powers to an extent, and those are kind of unlocked with psi points that you collect by doing various things, whether it be saving randos at a camp who have been kidnapped, whether you pray at certain altars, and that's how you gain those psi points that you can then use to unlock psi powers. And some of the psi powers are locked behind the morality system. So, for example, the ice psi power can only be unlocked if you have so many light points, and and vice versa. There's certain psi powers that are going to be unlocked if you have dark morality points. How many psi powers do you have?
Not a lot. I don't really use them, to be honest. So I don't really invest a lot of points in them.
Well, pull LT there and let's see. You got 3.
So,
well, so 3. Yeah. It's 2 psis and one of the.
So I've just leveled up. So the way level up system works in this is you get, when you level up, you pick you can put 10 into any of these stats.
You look like a beekeeper.
I look badass, Hans.
No, you don't.
So you've got vitality, which is obviously your health. Strength, which is your any damage you have melee weapons. Intellect, which is like the sidebar stuff, Hans Tant away. Agility, which is just your general movement. Charisma for like getting discounts at shops, and then just luck, which is just chance of loot
and criticals. Yeah.
Like it.
And then on top of that, you have 3 different like points you can spend. So you have upgrade points, you have bio points, and you have psi points. So your upgrade points are used for all like the Wong Fu and the perks, which is like, so Wong Fu is like the different combos you can do depending on what weapons you're using, whereas then like the perks are general perks for just your character in general, and then whatever class you are. So I have my Deadeye, so a lot of them are to do with the guns. And then general is like, oh, your mind moves faster. Oh, you have a chance of dealing more weapons or dealing more damage. And then the other side of it is, the biogenetics. So that's the stuff you spend your bio points on. So that's stuff like those like spells I was casting, or some of the spells I was casting. The more like natural spells would probably be the best way of putting it. And then the psi powers are like stuff like fire and other shit like that.
So I think that the 3 currency, I suppose, is overkill.
I think one of my issues I have with this game is it feels like, rather than like really have well-rounded like 2-3 systems, they were just like, what's a system that any other open world game have? Fuck it into our game, let's go. They went for like a lot of quantity over quality, and it really has not like paid off. I think there is just so much going on at this game at any one time that it is very like overwhelming.
And like just for me to lay it out, I don't think it does any one thing really, really badly per se, but at no point do you kind of go like, oh man, that's really good. Especially for like the currency that you use in terms of like upgrading your character. The Biomutant like spells and then the Psi-Power spells, they are just the exact same. They are just spells that you use to cast. So why is that not being done by the same currency? Like they feel the need to divide them into these are kind of poisonous and radioactive, and these are kind of fire and ice. It seems completely arbitrary. Why not just have these are just your spells, and here you have psi points to unlock them all. I did kind of notice that. I was like, this is a bit weird, and then like I get maybe the way you collect them can be a bit different, but at the same time,
they don't need to be different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of I can't fast over here, and I can't seem to get out of here.
Let's go back the way you came.
I can't, because that's the way I came, and it's too high up.
So I'll not lie, a similar thing happened to me before, and I kind of felt like maybe they should have thought this through. No, can you go up those steps?
I try, but it doesn't seem like there's a way out of here.
Is that the way you came?
No. Others are up there. Okay.
I have got to the point where I got stuck before, and I was like, they should have thought this out a wee bit better. Not gonna lie.
So you also may have seen there, like, I picked up a loot. So on top of then, like, the way you level up your own character, you also you can pick up different bits of loot. So you see, like, I've picked up all these different types of heads. They all look ridiculous.
Yeah, they do. Jesus, the sheep cow.
And then each of these kind of also has... is it here? And then yes. Nope. Can you not modify? Is it craft and modify?
Craft and modify.
Okay, so on top of that, then each of these I can go into, I can modify, and then each of them has like an add-on slot where I can like put a new bit of gear on, which just generally increases the armor a little bit. But then there's also the other side of the crafting, which is the weapons, which is you can craft whole new weapons like based on different types of. So you've got the different like
Ready to make something?
bases. So I've got like this ice knife. I've got just general smaller swords. You've
More
got
knives.
two-handers. You've got two-handed blades and then two-handed
crush.
Yeah. And then each of those, then you're going in, you're attaching a different handle to it, you're attaching kind of different add-ons to it. And then you have this as well, but for your ranged. So, like, there's just so much shit going on at any one time of like, oh, you're getting this loot, oh, you can build new loot, you can upgrade bits of loot. It just feels like a constant, like, barrage of information, essentially. And it is so overwhelming at times.
If anyone watched the stream, I think that was a good indication of how much it front loads all this information at you at one time. And it is so much to take in. Like, we streamed for what, 2 hours, and we were just like, "Oh my god, we like it's all lore, it's all
all tutorials,
all
as well.
tutorials."
Like, it's still like throwing new tutorials at me. I feel like
and it is. And there's a certain point, especially when I was playing, like actually when I started to play myself, I was kind of sitting going like, "Oh my god, just let me play the fucking game, please." But I will say that I find the crafting side of things, I find it really charming. For example, that is, what the fuck is that? Nightmaro is correct. Oh, yeah. So like, I find like the.
Hi.
No. Oh, it's even worse because your face mask is clipping through it. Oh, Jesus.
I'll see you tonight in your nightmares.
It's the eyes.
But this is worse for me, so I'm going to take it off.
Yeah, like,
I've went through all the wrong menus.
Like, Jesus, get it off the screen, Nick. Like I do find the crafting stuff really charming because like of the absolute nonsense you can make, and like somehow it is still like your best weapon. So my best weapon is a toilet brush, and I love that fact because it is so dumb. And like for my gun at the minute, it is a revolver with a crossbow barrel.
Yeah.
It makes logically no sense, but it's fun. I find that very charming.
Like, yeah, I think like there is a definite style and like real charm to this game. I just think, like, and I also think it actually just looks quite nice. Like they've nailed kind of the look of the world, and I think it's nice to get around in. It's just a shame that I think the entire like gameplay lets it down. It just feels like they've just thrown everything at the wall, and instead of seeing what sticks, it's just they went with everything they threw.
Yeah, like, which is kind of a mental thing to think when it was such a small team.
Yeah,
like, because it's actually almost impressive how much they've put into this game for such a small team. Like he said, it's maybe what, roughly 20 odd people.
Yeah.
So like for them to have implemented all these different mechanics into this, and for, to be fair, like I said, do none of them particularly badly. It is very impressive, but yeah, like I wish they just kind of skimmed some of the stuff off and like concentrated on a few more things. But you mentioned the world, so like let's talk about the story of Biomutant. That was a good dodge. I also think some of the monsters are kind of creepy.
Oh yeah.
Like this thing, and then like you maybe have not faced them yet, but when you get to a zero zone, you fight these big black blobs that are faceless, and they're just creepy. So the story, Nick, of Biomutant. Do you want me to talk, or while you concentrate?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so the story is essentially like, it's kind of like an undetermined amount of time, like after what seems like a natural disaster, like, or a like man-made disaster of like an oil spill or some sort, or like some sort of like waste spillage that's caused like kind of just the world to become overgrown. And it's like an infinite amount of time, and like they kind of reference back to that. I don't think it's overly important to the story, but you do kind of come across some things about it. And essentially you are just like a roaming like person, like scavenger in this world.
Well, I think they call you a Ronin, so you're kind of like almost like a samurai, unless the meaning has changed.
And essentially, like, you're meeting like people from your past because you've like forgotten your past, and they're all like, they give you about 4 different things to kind of do a game, which is a case of like, it feels like there's a lot of non-cohesion across the stories. So if I actually go to the journal for a second, like, my main story consists of, alright, you have the tribe war, where you can like align yourself with one of these tribes, and then as you kind of go through, like, you'll pull, I thought you could like see the, is it here, tribes? Yeah. I thought there was a way you could see, but yeah, like, essentially you start with like aligning yourself with one of either of these tribes, and it's like, all right, then go conquer the other one. So you'll conquer their like different outposts, and then you'll do like one final assault on their fortress. Which like this is its own wee story of like, all right, each tribe wants to do its own thing with the Tree of Life in the center here. Or no, that's not it. That's up here. The Tree of Life up in the center here, and then the other story is like this guy out of date from your past is like he says, no, you've got to go defeat all the world eaters because they're interfering with like each of these roots that are coming off the Tree of Life. So I've done the first one, which was, for me, it was the Porky Puff. And then when you clear one of those, he kind of reveals to you like, oh, I find this arc inside the tree, and you need to decide who's going to come with us in this arc. And it's essentially like implying that one way or another, this world's going to end, and we need people to get out of here with. And essentially, I think the way it's setting it up is like, as you complete like different people's quests. So for one of the world leaders, I had to talk to this guy. I think you can see them on the map, can't you? Yeah, like this guy, Goop. So I think now that I've beat the world leader that he was associated with, I can invite him to come onto the arc with me for whenever the game ends.
Mm. It's kind of weird, like, because I assume we were roughly in a similar point of progression in this game. Like, I assumed that it was going to be very almost Legend of Zelda-esque, where like, right, here are your 4 big monsters, you now gotta go and you gotta deal with them.
Just a few moves left.
Yeah, fuck this.
Wait, what am I moving? Like,
The antenna.
well, I'm trying to figure out what am I not moving?
It's true
Oh.
that the eye box is a medium. It's
so like to me, I think
the right direction.
This needs to go there, presumably.
yeah.
And then this goes down here. Okay. I couldn't tell what was matching up there.
So I thought it was maybe like a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild thing, where right, here are the 4 monsters, go deal with them whatever order you want to do, and you got a big bad at the end.
Which it kind of is.
Yeah, but then like you said, it's also got like this Fallout New Vegas thing in it of here are these tribes, you can get certain allegiances with them, each one has its own perks.
You can see so much farther.
There's that as well. And now this arc thing where like, right, you can pick so many people to come with you in this arc, which I assume is when I can only ever see it changing the like final cutscene.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's going to be like, oh, in this new place, Goop was able to teach people how to swim and stuff like that, which feels completely unnecessary in my opinion. Like, and the idea of like this, like, the idea of the arc and it being like, yeah, look, the world's fucked. You know, I'm sitting there going like, so why am I bothering to fight the world eaters then if we're just going to abandon?
Like, so the way they set it up as well is like, so the first 2 tribes you counter are like, oh, one of them wants to save the tree, the other one wants to destroy the tree. So like, it feels very counterintuitive that, like, so the one I joined is the one that wants to destroy the tree because it feels like it's like antiquated and like we have moved on as a society than worshipping this tree.
Yeah.
So like, why am I going to my way to do this other quest of defeating all the world eaters who are trying to destroy the tree?
Yeah.
Because I think it's implied that you're going to use the world eaters somehow to destroy the tree, but it is very lightly implied, and I feel like I'm making a massive jump in logic for that.
Yeah, like I think this, like, it's like you said, there's a good point you kind of made earlier, which is just like, yeah, this world is really, you're really struggling to interact with it.
Literally not. There we go.
Yeah, it's like they have
something else I need to do here. Yeah.
They have thrown so many things at the wall, and I just don't understand why. It's almost like they've given themselves too much work to do, and now that they've done too much work, they realize, wow, we really overcomplicated this.
You found Hogger.
And it's like you said, like the world itself is really, really cool. And see if like they had left it at kind of like because like the story about your past and stuff is there's this guy. I'm going to say it's not right, but not Oompa Loompa.
Definitely not Oompa Loompa.
What do you know what the guy's called that killed your mum? We'll say Chumbawamba, right?
It's definitely not Chumbawamba. I can't talk to this guy. Why can't I talk to this guy?
Yeah, why can't you? There, sir, I'm going. Could you please get off my desk?
You won't be able to find better goods anywhere.
But like one of the things real from your past is this guy has killed your parents, destroyed your village, and he's still chasing you for some reason. And I feel like that in itself could have been like that was plenty.
Yeah.
And then I feel like why not have, and then you can have the world eaters if you have like on top of that because you've got your personal quest and you've also got a world quest. The tribe stuff to me doesn't offer enough of
I'm not keeping that. I'm not wearing it, but I'm gonna not sell that.
The tribe stuff I think doesn't add enough to the stories and all to worth being there, especially having this faction thing.
Didn't mean to sell the Shifu hell
but I think then what you could have done is maybe just had two warring factions, one being the bad guys and one being the one that you're with, and then yeah, you can have outposts and stuff and you're taking them over, similar to say Far Cry, you know, where like that sort of idea where there's good, there's bad, and then you go through it.
Yeah. Like it just feels like all over the place, and
like actually it's just another thing as well. We talked about it, the fact that they have a binary morality system seems so archaic now. Like there is good and there is bad and there is no in between, and that just seems so like
want to have any effect.
Even Mass Effect was kind of really popularized. No, sorry, Fable probably even popularized morality systems. Even they got away from that. Like, yeah, we don't really see like, you know, it's never really black and white. I don't know.
That doesn't bother me. Like I
just
think
to me it just seems odd.
It is because it's less like, what's the way to phrase this? Like as much as it is like, oh, you have like dark and light, it's obtruse in the fact that yes, it is binary because you have one or the other, but there are like it's not like you are inherently evil. Like dark doesn't mean evil. Because like like as much as they are presented such like, oh, we want to destroy the world tree, like when you actually join the clan and like do the first completion of like, oh, you've destroyed all the people,
yeah,
like they actually explain why they want to, and it's not necessarily an inherently evil thing. It's like, oh, if we feel like this is just holding everyone back because they are like, it is essentially almost like hero worship because they're like, oh, the world tree is always going to be right. It's like, it is the fact like they want to be like, we can progress past this, like we are past the point in civilization of like needing a god essentially, or having like this omnipotent god that everyone believes is always right.
But I think the difference is though, that is, dude, it's your dude. That's the bear.
Yeah, you see him about all the time.
He's sobered up now that he doesn't have his massive fucking weed pipe. I think that like to me that's grand when you're looking at other people. Yeah, like you said, like the other tribe is like, we're destroying the world tree because we feel like, which is a kind of a bad thing to do, but we're doing it for a good reason. But I feel like the stuff that you do is clearly just bad. Like for example, if you remember the stream, Nick, you saved the guy and punched him out for no reason.
Yeah.
Like that is inherently bad. Whereas
my issue with that stuff isn't necessarily like the action. I feel like that was also just very poorly explained. What would the outcome be of what I said?
Oh yeah.
Like it's like nothing in what like the dialogue choice that was presented to me implied you're about to murder this man.
Yeah, and you would also not think that like one punch would kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it is kind of like, again, it just feels like it's a half. It's like it's something that they kind of not half-assed. The stuff seems like they did it on purpose, but like something that wasn't really properly thought through and then reached its full potential. It's a game filled with good ideas. It's just something that reached their full potential because they've tried too many of them.
However, there's no doubt that what you remember makes your future different.
Why do you always shrink? It's a flashback. Oh, so you get, okay. I actually haven't unlocked anything for the automaton before.
Oh god.
You weren't supposed to know how to start the automaton pew pew pang, but clearly you figured that out way back then.
Alright. Calm down.
Yeah.
So that's how that will automatically just attack people for you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's dope. So like, do you have anything else you really want to talk about or show off before we kind of get to our reactions?
I don't think so. I hate how this thing controls.
Yeah. So,
and the fact they then level one of the whole boss fights around using this thing is a fucking tragedy.
So, this is something I have seen, and I think it's going to become a thing for all 4 of the world leaders. So we have done 2 different world leaders. You did the one that's centered around this. I did one that's centered around a mech. I have this gut feeling that each of the world leaders is going to have one of these gimmicks to it.
Yeah, it's never going to be like a straight like fight almost.
Yeah, and I'm just... It seems so dumb. It seems so dumb. Because, and it's something ages ago, something ages ago, someone said about these sort of like boss fights, which is when they do like a gimmicky boss fight like that, it completely detracts from the fact that the boss fight is supposed to be the ultimate test of your skills. And because you're gimmicking around your jet ski or a mech, you're not getting to use any of your actual skills. You're having within the limits of this, like you can't attack in this, you can only just shoot your gun. With the mech, you have none of your combos, you can just fire and kind of melee. Really dumb. Those weren't even like good ideas that were not properly fulfilled. They were just a really bad design choice. I think maybe we're wrong. Like,
what happens if I go back to where this boss was?
Just empty. See?
Oh,
well, you thought it was gonna be like a ghost you could fight?
maybe.
Relive the memory of fighting it. But yeah, so that is it in terms of gameplay. So we will now cut ahead to Nick and mine. Mine? Final thoughts and opinions on Biomutant. Nick, I have a question for you.
What is your question?
If I was on the fence about Biomutant, what would you say to me?
I don't want to say I want to like this game, because I do like this game. I just think there are a lot of questionable design decisions that will like severely hamper your enjoyment, like one way or another. Like I think there are certain things that are going to like really wind up people. Like I think the combat's going to wind up people that are like wanting like almost an Assassin's Creed or whatever style combat system. I think like the way the open world is designed is almost just like a checkbox exercise will like annoy people who are going into it like thinking, oh, it's like a Breath of the Wild style open world. There are just a lot of questionable design decisions, and I think like your mileage will massively vary in this. I think there's a really cool and nice charm to it all. I just think that playing it almost feels like a chore at times. But I don't want to like say, oh, don't go and get it. I think it's the sort of game that you'll see people playing it, and hearing people talk about it will probably tell you if you think you'll like it. And if none of it sounded particularly interesting, I think it's the game it's very much a game that I think once it goes down in price to like, I don't know, like maybe like 50% to like 40 or 30% off, I think is a game worth taking a punt on to see if you'll enjoy it. But I think in terms of just like, also I do want to like shout out that yes, in terms of it being like a massive open world game designed and made by like 20 people, I think it's fantastic. And I think like the fact that 20 people can pull this off is fair play, to be honest, because I don't think if I had 20 people working with me, I don't think I could pull this off. But Hutch, you've also been playing Biomutant, so if I was on the fence, what would you say?
I think you put it best whenever you said they kind of just threw stuff at the wall, see what would stick, and then, oh, would you like everything stuck? It's a particularly sticky wall, apparently. The weirdest thing about this, I enjoy this game most when I am just kind of running from the closest quest marker to the closest quest marker and just doing what's there. When it actually gets down into like the raids on the fortresses and like the story missions and the story mission areas, that's where I really start to be like a bit like I said, I don't think it does anything particularly bad, but other side of that, I don't think it does anything particularly well. It's just it's an alright game. Like, put it this way, I've done the first world leader, Nick has done the different first world leader, and I can already feel my interest starting to wane a bit. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. But those are mine and Nick's opinions on Biomutant. Currently available on PS4, Xbox One and PC, with plans for it to come to PS5 and the Xbox Series XS. Currently available for in around £45. I imagine there might be a bit of a jump up whenever it goes out to PS5 and Xbox Series XS as well. Other than that, thank you very much for joining me, Nick.
No problem.